Have you ever been in a country or a culture that's a little bit different to the one that you're currently living in? Because I think that in the world that we live in today, there are just different countries, different cultures, different environments, different ways of seeing the world that we live in, right? And if you were to go to a different place, you might stick out like a sore thumb. Take South Asia, for instance. When they shake their head, it's not them saying no, it's them actually settling an agreement. How about in India? In India, when you beep your horn, you're actually saying that you're being polite to the people who are around you. It's a bit different to London, right? And also in Iran, when you put your thumbs up, it's actually a sign that you are swearing at somebody. So these things are really different. And there's been loads of different times, different stories of when people have gone to a different country and not necessarily been familiar with how they do things around there, and they have really stood out and they've made a fool of themselves. So I guess the point that we're trying to make is that it's really important to first know a culture before you act.
And that's good advice, not just for the world that we live in today, but also when we consider the Bible. The reality of the Bible is that it is written over a great big time span and in lots of different cultural settings. Which means that sometimes when we open it and we look at a story which is just totally different to what we are used to or what we would do, maybe a great thing to remember is this is a different culture. Difficult passages where you look and just go, man, I wouldn't do it like that. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the right and they're in the wrong. It's just different. And this is especially true when it comes to the topic of war. Now I'm going to throw it out there. There is a lot of war in the Bible. The majority of it is in the Old Testament, and some of it is really difficult to get your head around. A lot of this war is caused and started by enemies of God and his people, the Israelites. So stories where other tribes and other cultures have tried to destroy the Israelites' hometowns and their temples, sometimes to show that the God that they worshipped is greater than the God of Israel. But there are also times, and we have to be honest, where wars are started by Israel and sometimes where they're commanded by God. You think of the story of Joshua fighting at the Battle of Jericho, or you think about even David, the great King David, was known as a mighty warrior and had this great big band of warrior troops that he trained. And it's difficult sometimes when you read this because there are times where it would appear that God is commanding total destruction of different cultures. And if you were to say, do you know what, my tribe, the tribe that I'm representing, we are a peaceful tribe. We don't condone wars here, so we don't fight, we're about peace. Well, you'd probably find out pretty quickly that other tribes wouldn't take notice of that, and you'll probably find that your hometown is pillaged and destroyed pretty quickly. That is the culture that we're writing to.
So what about war today? Well, firstly, if you don't know who God is, take a look at Jesus. He is God incarnate himself, and he has a few points to say on the matter. Now, some of these points may not be considered good strategy points, like for example, loving and praying for your enemies. Can you imagine doing that before entering war? Or can you imagine someone striking you in the cheek and you turning the other cheek? Like, some of these things don't actually seem to make sense for going into war, but Jesus provides a loving yet peaceful way for his followers.